This is something that we get asked about literally every single day. What is the right thing to do? And how can I do that right thing without wasting money? How can I know that what I'm putting my dollars in actually works for my church or for my ministry? And the fact is that marketing is always going to be a risk. Marketing is always going to be a risk. There's not a silver bullet to marketing. It's not a silver bullet to growth. The same is true for any organization. It doesn't matter if you're a church, a ministry, a business organization. The fact is that there's not a lockstep, proven, predictable way to growth, to a marketing success. Why? It's because there's so many variables. Right? Your church is unique. Your pastor is unique. The demographic of your community is unique. The geographic location of your ministry is unique. Your culture of the culture of your church is unique. The environment of your state, of the politics in your community are unique. Right? There are so many things that are unique and specific and custom to you. And because of that, and because the way you deliver a message, the way you deliver, the culture and the passion and the mission of your church is different than that of down the street, of that of Stephen Furtick in Elevation, right? It's all different, right? And so because of that, there's not a single pathway to success, to growth. But I do have some tips on how you can stop wasting money. This is more through your lens than anything. This is not necessarily, do this, quick tips, tricks, deceive your audience. That's not what this is. In fact, it's the complete opposite. This is more of a strategic angle. One that, a lead pastor would probably think through, an executive pastor would think through. How to not waste money in marketing for your church. The one thing that I would start with, number one, is identify the problem that you're trying to solve in your marketing. If you're a church plant, your biggest problem is awareness. Letting people know that your church exists. Letting people know where your church is meeting, what time it's meeting. That you're even on the map, where the location of where you're meeting. Right? All these things it's about awareness, right? It's not even about convincing someone to even come. It's about awareness. And so because of that, I say try to think through the problem you're trying to solve. For a church that's been around for 100 years, 50 years, 25 years, maybe your church went through a split. Maybe, there was something that happened in the church that, is not so great. And your problem now is improving the perception of your ministry, improving how people think about your ministry, perceive it. What comes to mind as soon as they say the name of your church? Well, with that, you are going to have to put some effort and some elbow grease behind improving that perception. And it's not just in the marketing of ads, of Facebook ads, of Google ads, of direct mailers, of billboard ads, of TV spots. That's not what this is. This is ingrained throughout the entire strategy of what you're trying to achieve. If you do a single element of marketing, of advertising or of email marketing or text ads that don't have the fundamental core of the problem you're trying to solve, it's I'm not going to say it's not for nothing, but it kind of is on its own, right? It's not doing a whole lot of good. So make sure, number one, make sure you identify the problem you're trying to solve. Number two, think about the value that your ministry, your church would receive, or, sort of the growth trajectory that that would impact your ministry, your church, if you were to solve that problem. If you're a church plant and you're going from nothing to something, right? You're going from 0 to 1 and you're letting people know you exist. What's the impact of having 10 families versus 5? Of having 50 families versus 10? What does that mean to your ministry? What does that mean to your volunteers, your small group efforts? What does that mean to your giving? Right? What does that mean to the investment that individuals will make into the ministry that you are building and that you can continue to build and serve your community with? Think through the value that that problem solves for you. And then third is think about the risk to money. In business world we say capital, right? Think about the risk to capital that you're willing to tolerate to solve that problem. What is it worth to you to solve the problem? What is it worth to you to go to get 50 brand new families for a church plant versus a 10? If you're an existing church that has 1,000 people, what is it worth to get 50 new families this year, by the end of the year 2022? What does that mean for your ministry? What does that net gain mean? And are you willing to invest the capital that it takes to get those 50 new families? And this is not an Instagram or TikTok tricks. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the strategy. What are you willing to invest in human capital, in people, or in outsourcing it to someone else to do, right? Into having a company like ours do it. Or in Facebook advertising, or in Google ads, billboard or radio spots, TV spots. I guess people do newspaper ads these days. The point is not what medium you use to achieve those results. The question I'm asking is, what is your budget? What are you willing to spend to get the value that would solve that problem? And as an executive pastor, one of your key priorities is the budget management, is making sure that you come under budget, right? And you maximize the use of that budget. Well, to do that, you have to think about, what does this solve, right? And so that's the third thing. The fourth thing that I would suggest in making sure that you're not wasting money for your ministry is put the first dollar that you have in your budget towards the highest return that would solve the problem that you've identified in step number 1. What does that mean, Andrew? If your problem as a 1,000-member church is growth, say you have 1,000 members and your growth trajectory is to get from 1,000 to 1,100 by the end of the year. Okay, so that's a 100 net incremental gain. What does it take to solve that problem? First off, what do you want to spend, right? And you have a budget itemized. Well, you think through all the different ways you could get awareness or drive someone to make a first visit, right? It could be direct mail. It could be billboard advertising. It could be, obviously you want your people to ask their loved ones, their friends and family members to come and sit with them at church. Invite people to church. Yes, those are all free. Keep doing that. Do that for sure. But outside of the, phone a friend approach, if you have to put marketing dollars towards some specific platform or tactic, what is the highest return? For some, you may have great confidence and numbers in direct mail. And for that, I say, go for it. It can have a breakthrough effect, and I'm not one to bash direct mail. We're a digital marketing agency, but direct mail and any other kind of avenue has its place. I would also highly recommend you look at the Google Grant for Google Ads. This is it will take a little bit of time, but the time is well worth it. It is free money directly from Google, and you can spend that free money, literally $0 of your budget, for people who are searching for a church on Google. And if you put yourself in their shoes, you would do the exact same. If you were to move from a town, from Atlanta to Dallas tomorrow, and you were looking for a church home, one of the first things you're going to do is go on Google. You probably have some friends and family members in the area, but one of the things you're going to do is go on Google. And as crazy as it sounds, churches and nonprofits have access to $10,000 a month in advertising that is literally being untapped. People aren't really taking advantage of this. I would suggest that Facebook advertising, look at what the ROI is on that, right? And think about the tactics that you can use Facebook ads for. Is it creating an event on your Facebook page and then using ad dollars to drive to that? Is it investing in someone or a team like ours to run all of your social media accounts, where you're getting organic reach, organic impressions, meaning unpaid, right? No advertising dollars, or you put it on Facebook ads and you are driving awareness and engagement with Facebook ads. Think about whatever tactic you go down, put the first dollar towards the highest return. And I realize that this feels like a no-brainer, but it's worth mentioning because a lot of people just burn money, literally burn money on billboards, on TV spots, on television ads, on Facebook ads. They're like, oh, well, we have an Easter event coming up. I'm going to burn $5,000 in dollars to it. It's ridiculous. Don't do that. Okay. Facebook ads is great, but if you just do it without knowing what you're doing and not having an expert do it, you're burning money. Okay. Find an expert to use those dollars because Facebook ads are great, but you're not putting the first dollar towards the highest return if you're just throwing money against the wall and hoping it sticks. Okay. So just just to repeat it, number one, identify the problem that you're trying to solve for your ministry. What are you trying to solve? What problem, what objective are you trying to solve? Number two is think about the value that would mean for your ministry, your church. If you solve that problem, what would that mean in terms of growth? What would that mean in terms of community impact? What would that mean for you in terms of your staff? Number three, what are you willing to risk in terms of your budget, capital, to solve that problem, right? What are you willing to risk, and what is your stress level and your tolerance level to do that, right? And just real quick on that, a business, if they make $1,000 on a sale, they may be willing to spend $300, $400, $500 to get that sale. Church is different, right? We're about ministry impact, but you have to think about it through that lens, right? And not over risk your capital, right? You got to think about what you're willing to risk to get to solve the problem. Number four is put the first dollar towards the highest return. Once you do that, put your next dollar towards your highest return. So if Google Ads is it, start with that with the nonprofit. It's $0. You should get an expert, like our team, to do it. But after that, think through Facebook advertising, think through direct mail, think through having someone on staff to do this or outsourcing it to a team. Put the next dollar towards the highest return, but start with the highest return first. Okay? Identify the problem. What value does that solve for you? What are you willing to risk for it? And put the first dollar towards the highest return. I hope that's helpful for you. We're praying and rooting for you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon, week, and weekend. Take care.